Hey everybody, this is Andrew Block at Goblin HQ Incorporated, and today I want to talk about big box games or epic sprawling games. Games that typically pack in a lot of theme, present an epic narrative or story, and usually take a really long time to play. There's a lot of games that are jam-packed with theme. You can just browse Board Game Geek and randomly point your finger, and odds are you'll probably land on one that has a pretty good theme. But what is theme? If you're new to board gaming as a hobby or board gaming in general, or you're just not familiar with these kind of things, theme is a term used to describe a game's overall narrative. If a game has a good, rich theme, it'll feel like you're living in whatever world the game is set in. The mechanisms of the game will make you feel like you're doing something in that world. You know, not just within the game, but inside the story. If a game has little to no theme, well, it'll just seem like you're playing the game. So, what are some examples of big box games? The first one that I have, and one of my favorites, is Twilight Imperium. Now, anybody who talks to anybody who's into board games, this one will probably come up as the king of the mountain. What is Twilight Imperium? Well, it's a space opera game where a capital planet has become vacant. The current emperors of the galaxy have, I don't actually remember the reason, but they have become dormant. They have become extinct, and it's left this huge power vacuum, and all the other races of the galaxy are trying to take over the galactic throne. And the game uses diplomacy, alliances, space battles, exploration, resource gathering, technological advancements, and all these things within the structure of the game to further your goal. And in my opinion, it's a very good game. Probably one of the biggest, baddest board games that I've ever played. The only problem with it is that it takes 6+ hours to play. I think the last game that we played of it, we had 6 players, and it took 9-10 hours to play. That's a long time to devote to a game. But, you know, if you can get a game of it in, and you have good players around and everything, and I'm not talking good as in, like, they know the game and they're good at their strategies or whatever. I'm talking like good players. They're like good sports, and they're fun to be around and things like that. You won't have any other gaming experience like it. There's no other feeling like making an alliance with a player, and then 2 turns later you attack one of his planets because you need that planet to complete one of your objectives. And all the stuff I said before is actually incorporated into the game. It's not like other games where you're making just handshake deals, you know, outside of the game. If you don't attack me, I won't attack you, blah, 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 blah. No, it's actually incorporated into the mechanics of the game. There are diplomacy cards that each player has, and they exchange them between each other that signify, you know, things like peace treaties, monetary deals, and support for the thrones, and things like that. And there is an actual politics phase of the game where laws will come up and directives will come up, and the players will have to vote on them. And these are actually things that will change how the game is played. For example, you might elect a minister of the peace, or he'll get special advantages that other players won't get. You'll vote on laws which will make certain things that used to be normal rules, it changes how they actually operate. You won't be able to do things that you used to be able to do, or you'll have to do them in a special way, you know. And with all of this going on, there's also, you have your fleets, and you're moving in and you're taking over planets to get their resources, and and their political influence, and you're also invading other planets, attacking other players. Just do a YouTube search of Twilight Imperium and just watch one of the reviews and how they talk about it, and you'll see what I mean. Just imagine every science fiction franchise out there all melded into one, and it's an amazing game. Now, it's an expensive game, and like I said, it takes a long time to play, but when you get it on the table and you play it, there's no other experience like it. So what are some other epic sprawling games that are out there? Well, another one that I have that's also one of my favorites, you'll see kind of a theme going here, War of the Ring. Set in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings universe, you depict the titular War of the Ring. It's a two-player game where one player takes the mantle of the free peoples of Middle-earth, and the other player takes on the role of the shadow player, and they're both duking it out over control of Middle-earth. But it's asymmetrical, because the free people player is also controlling the Fellowship of the Ring, and they're trying to get the One Ring to the Cracks of Doom to destroy the One Ring. All the while, the shadow player is trying to find the One Ring, the Fellowship. So there's a lot of little aspects going on. And you're playing these event cards that correspond to events that happened in the book. It's based more on the book than the movies, so there are certain events that happen that people who've only watched the movies won't quite get. And it's a pretty epic game. It can take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. It's a very interesting game. I liked it. I like it a lot. Another one, it's not quite a big box game. It actually comes in a smaller box, but it's Dune. Now, this game was originally published in 1979 under Avalon Hill, but it recently got a reprint by Gale Force 9, and it's based on Frank Herbert's novel of the same name. You have houses in the futuristic sci-fi setting of Dune, and they're vying over control of Arrakis, the planet that produces the spice melange. And this game is particularly unique because you have a very standard rule set, but each faction breaks the rules in some way. It's a very interesting game, and that game can take 2 to 3 hours depending on how players play it. One I just recently picked up. I've only played it once, so I don't know if I'd call it epic sprawling, but it's called Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. It's a 4X game. The X's they stand for expand, exploit, explore, and exterminate. And those are your primary objectives throughout the game. You want to explore the land, you want to exploit the resources, you want to expand your territory, and you want to exterminate your enemies. If any one of those are achieved by any player, you trigger the end game. And this game I found particularly interesting because it's not just a typical dudes on the map war game. I mean, it is, but it isn't, because when you go into a new territory, there's these little tokens that trigger certain events and things like that. So, any other epic sprawling games that I have? Star Wars Rebellion is a good one. This one takes the Galactic Civil War depicted in episodes 4, 5, and 6, and it puts players in control of it. 2-player game, again, and one side plays the Rebellion and the other side plays the Empire, but it's not just a straight-up fight game. It takes a lot of cues from War of the Ring. The rebel player has hidden their base on a planet, and the Empire is trying to find the planet. And you have your heroes, and they're all out trying to do missions like recruit or gain diplomatic influence on certain planets and things like that. You know, all the while building armies and trying to defend key points in the galaxy. So it's a very cool game. It's a very long game. I could definitely recommend that to anybody. And as for epic sprawlers, that's pretty much all I really have. But there are tons of them out there. So I guess the real question is should you play an epic sprawler game? In my opinion, yeah. If you get an opportunity to, I would sit down and at least give it a shot. These games aren't for everybody. Like I said, they tend to be fairly complex and they take a long time. And they're not easy to learn, so the first couple times you play it, you can expect to either lose or just not do that hot. So don't let that be determining factor on whether or not you try it again. Okay, there's a lot of moving parts in these games, so it's going to take a couple tries to figure out how these parts interact with each other. But with any kind of board games, it's always about sitting down and having a good time with your friends anyway. It's not about really winning or losing. If you're going into it with a competitive mindset, then you're probably not going to like it. Because like I said, you're going to go into it not really knowing what you're doing. And you're probably not going to pick up on what's going on until about halfway through the game. And by then, it might be too late. And if you're going into these games with a competitive mindset, it's probably going to dampen your enthusiasm to try another one or to at least try that game again. So yeah, if you ever get a chance to try a big epic sprawling game such as Twilight Imperium, War of the Ring, or Star Wars Rebellion, or any of the others that are out there, I really suggest giving them a try. They're a lot of fun. You're going to have a great experience with them. And if you try it and you find out that it's just not for you, if it takes too much time, they're too complicated for you or whatever, it's no harm, no foul. You had a great day with your friends, hopefully. That's my take on epic sprawling games. Just wanted to share some thoughts about it. And I hope that you all have a good day. And I hope you guys play more games. Talk to you sooner.